What if I told you that one company quietly built the foundation of the AI revolution, years before the world even knew it was coming? Today, artificial intelligence is changing everything. It writes, it creates, it learns, and it's transforming the future faster than anyone expected. But behind almost every major AI breakthrough, there is one company, NVIDIA. Every time you ask ChatGPT a question, every time an AI generates an image, every time researchers train the world's most powerful AI models, there's a good chance NVIDIA's chips are doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. But here's what most people don't know. NVIDIA wasn't created for artificial intelligence. It wasn't even trying to build the future of AI. In fact, it almost didn't survive. So how did a small graphics card company become one of the most valuable businesses on Earth? How did one bold vision change the future of technology forever? This is the story of NVIDIA. And this is Next Billion. To understand NVIDIA's incredible success, we have to go back to 1993. The internet was still in its early days. Smartphones didn't exist. Artificial intelligence was still just an idea. At the time, the world's biggest technology companies were focused on making computers faster. Almost nobody was thinking about the future of artificial intelligence. Then, three engineers shared one bold vision: Jensen Huang, Chris Malachowski, and Curtis Priam. They believed graphics processing would become one of the most important technologies in the world. It sounded like a crazy idea, because at the time, very few people cared about computer graphics, but they saw the future before everyone else. In 1993, NVIDIA was officially founded. The company's mission was simple: build graphics processors that could do what traditional CPUs could not. It was a huge gamble. Many experts believed the market was too small. Some people thought the company would fail within a few years, but Jensen Huang refused to give up. He believed one thing: the future of computing would depend on graphics, and one day, the entire world would discover he was right. But building a revolutionary company wasn't easy. In fact, NVIDIA came dangerously close to failure. The company's first products failed to impress the market. Sales were weak. Competition was growing. Money was running out. For a young startup, it was a nightmare. Most startups would have given up. But Jensen Huang made a decision that changed everything. Instead of playing it safe, he bet the entire company on a completely new graphics architecture. It was an enormous risk. If the new product failed, NVIDIA would likely disappear forever. There would be no second chance. Then, in 1999, everything changed. NVIDIA introduced the GeForce 256. It wasn't just another graphics card. The company called it the world's first GPU. The launch was a massive success. Gamers loved it. Developers embraced it. And for the first time, the world started paying attention to NVIDIA.
I hope you realize this is not a concert. You have arrived at a developers conference.
Success didn't happen overnight. NVIDIA kept improving its technology year after year. Its graphics cards became faster, more powerful, and more efficient. Gamers around the world started choosing NVIDIA over its competitors. The company wasn't just building better hardware, it was building trust. NVIDIA didn't stop with one success. It kept pushing the limits of innovation. Every new generation of GPUs became faster, smarter, and more powerful. Developers embraced the technology. Game studios built bigger and better worlds, and millions of gamers chose NVIDIA as their first choice. For years, NVIDIA was known as a gaming company, But behind the scenes, something much bigger was happening. Researchers discovered that NVIDIA's GPUs could do far more than render graphics. They could process enormous amounts of data at incredible speed. It was a discovery that would change the future of artificial intelligence forever. Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. In 2006, NVIDIA introduced a platform called CUDA. At first, almost nobody understood how important it would become. CUDA allowed developers to use NVIDIA's GPUs for much more than graphics. Scientists, engineers, and researchers could now solve complex problems much faster than ever before. Without realizing it, NVIDIA had just laid the foundation for the AI revolution. Years later, that decision changed everything. As artificial intelligence advanced, researchers needed faster hardware to train larger and more powerful models. Traditional CPUs were no longer enough. NVIDIA's GPUs became the perfect solution. Companies around the world rushed to buy them. Suddenly, NVIDIA was no longer just a gaming company. It had become the engine behind the AI revolution. And then, the world discovered ChatGPT. Millions of people suddenly experienced the power of artificial intelligence. But while the spotlight was on AI companies, NVIDIA was supplying the technology that made it all possible. Its GPUs became one of the most valuable resources in the world. Demand exploded. Revenue reached record highs. And NVIDIA became one of the most valuable companies in history. But this dominance also raised a question. How long can one company stay at the center of such a massive revolution? Because in technology, leaders don't stay leaders forever. The same story has happened before. IBM, Intel, Microsoft, Google. Each one ruled its era until a new shift changed everything. And NVIDIA is now standing at that exact point in history. The AI boom is still in its early stages, but competition is already rising. Tech giants are building their own chips. Startups are trying to disrupt the market, and governments are treating AI hardware as a strategic asset. But here is the reality. NVIDIA is not just selling chips anymore. It is selling the foundation of the AI economy. And as long as artificial intelligence keeps expanding, the demand for computing power will only grow. So the real question is not just, can NVIDIA stay on top? It is, what does the world look like when AI becomes bigger than any single company? Because we are not just watching a company grow. We are watching the infrastructure of the next industrial revolution being built in real time. And NVIDIA is right at the center of it.